Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony's not here. Yep, he Schiavoned it, but no big deal. Hey, listen, we are understanding. You know, it's not a lot of people who can do everything Tony Khan asked for and get yelled at by Lois and raise not one, not two, not three, but 73 children, 168 grandchildren. And oh, by the way, at least twice a week, lean in on camera and say, that's exactly right, Excalibur. Only Tony Schiavone can do it all. So today we are going to be a little patient and a little understanding that Tony is in Portland doing a little AE dub. Our recording schedule got thrown off base. So instead, we're going to pay homage to a great episode of What Happened When. We're going to take a look back to the 30th anniversary of Clash of the Champions 24. It went down on August 18th, 1993. And I know what you're saying to yourself. You're saying to yourself, Self, what happened at that Clash of the Champions? Well, first of all, it's in one of the low-key most iconic buildings in wrestling history, certainly in all of WCW history. And it went down at the Ocean Center right there in Daytona Beach, Florida. Yeah, the same building where less than 3 years later, Hulk Hogan would change professional wrestling forever and turn heel. But boy, WCW in 1993 is a long way from that. On this particular show, we had Arn Anderson teaming up with Paul Roma, your least favorite Horseman tag team, to take on Steve Austin and Steve Regal. Of course, that's not the normal tag team. Pillman was out injured. Woodsy Too Cold Scorpio working with Bobby Eaton. We had a mask versus a guitar match, and the crowd went mild for Johnny B. Bad and Max Payne. We also had a TV title match with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat defending his title against Paul Orndorff. How about Sting and Ric Flair teaming together to take on the Colossal Kongs? I'm sure that worked out great for Sting. Anytime Ric Flair comes to the aid of Sting, you know it's on the up and up. You'd also see Road Warrior Hawk teaming with Dusty Rhodes to take on the Equalizer and Rick Rude. And in the main event, we had the man they call Vader defending his WCW Heavyweight Championship against Davey Boy Smith, one of my favorites as a kid. And what do you know? A friend of ours is involved as well. It's a very special episode of What Happened When. It was a very special Clash of the Champions 30 years ago from the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach. And we're going to relive all the good, the bad, and the ugly right here on What Happened When. And don't forget, we'll be back next week with brand new content. You're going to be excited about it. As long as Tony doesn't, well, you know, Schiavone it again. In the meantime, plenty of bonus content, more than you can shake a stick at, over at patreon.com/WHW Monday. We do not one, but two pieces of bonus content. And we've been doing that for years and years and years and years, each and every month. And you can check them out right now over at patreon.com/WHW Monday. But for now, let's get in our Wayback Machine. Let's go back 30 years to August 18th, 1993 at the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, Florida. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When on the MLW Radio Network and here on Patreon. What's going on, Tony Schiavone? How are you?
Hey, I want to start out, Conrad. First of all, it's good to be talking to you again. It's great to be talking to everybody. I want to start out by saying that, as you probably know, I've been doing a Prepping with Tony video on Patreon each and every week prior to doing a show. And unfortunately, Lois Schiavone grabbed her iPhone and she videotaped me sleeping through my my prepping. And
I think the button came out for just a minute. We've had some, it's almost like the the JFK film, back and to the left, back and to the left.
Yeah, it didn't come out. Although I can say, I've lost now 31 pounds, maybe a little bit more. And as I've mentioned many times on our live shows, and we're going to be talking about live shows during the course of this podcast, as I've mentioned on many live shows, as Dr. Oz once said, for every 30 pounds you lose, you gain an inch of your dick. So I now have an inch, maybe a half inch, because I was at like minus a half. So I made sure it was covered up. It was not on that video. If you're on Patreon, of course, if you're on Patreon and you're one of our patrons, you can see that video of Tony prepping and Lois sneaking in with a video camera and making fun of the way I look. I was in a robe, and the robe had a little crack in it. And if that's all you're looking at, if you're looking at my joint, what's wrong with you?
You need a magnifying glass.
You need a magnifying glass, is what Lois just said. Okay. So be that as it may, how you doing other than that?
Well, I'll tell you, we're taping this early Sunday morning, and I really wasn't looking forward to it. I didn't get to sleep last night. I tried to go to bed early, and then I wound up getting up, and it was up and down and up and down. And I was like, God, I just really don't want to do this morning. And then I load you up on Skype, and you are bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, wearing a fucking Hawaiian shirt. And the Hawaiian shirt just took me back to when you and Scott Hudson and Mark Madden looked like a couple of dumbasses. And then I realized, wait a minute, this isn't even the same shirt. This sumbitch has went out and found other horrible Hawaiian shirts. And this time not for TV, just because he thinks this looks good.
Well, I have a lot of Hawaiian shirts that until recently never fit me. And Lois in the laundry room has this, had them hanging up, and they had dust and dog hair on them from not being used. She cleaned them off, brushed them off, and here we go. And they fit me now. And so I love Hawaiian shirts. I love Hawaiian shirts.
I'm going to need you to wear Hawaiian shirts a lot at StarCast. Can you do that?
Okay.
Well, let's stop filibustering. Let's tell everybody why we're here. We're covering Clash of the Champions 24. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, what Clash of the Champions is that? The ShockMaster. That's what we're doing today. It's been a long time coming. People are excited about this one. And I'm excited for us to cover it. And if you're supporting us here on Patreon, we really appreciate it. We've got some bonus episodes coming for you. We're actually going to tape them this week. So towards the end of the week, stay tuned. We've got not one, but 2 bonus episodes coming your way before the end of the month, as promised. And we went ahead and hooked up with our 2 low-key big hogs who are going to make our guest appearances. The first is Damien. And Damien suggested that we cover Money in the Bank 2011. Now I know you weren't really watching here, but Money in the Bank 2011 has one of the hottest crowds ever. The match that everybody probably wants us to talk about is CM Punk and John Cena. They did a famous angle, and I'll get you the link so you can see this before we actually do it. Where CM Punk sort of broke the 4th wall, and it was called the Pipe Bomb promo. And his contract was coming to an end, but he was still in the main event. So he re-signed, but not everybody knew he had re-signed. And then he won the title match, and Vince McMahon comes down, looking disheveled and stressed, and CM Punk like hops the railing and blows him a kiss and leaves with the belt through the crowd. And so it feels like he's no longer with the company and he's the champion. And the crowd in Chicago was really ready for it. So I'm excited to get your response to Money in the Bank 2011. And then we've got something old school, man. Our man, Tom Cathy, made a suggestion, and this is a deep cut. You want to tell everybody what it is?
Yeah, it's WrestleMania 11 that Tom says is the worst WrestleMania of all time. I didn't watch it. And I love bad things on TV, as you know, so I'm looking forward to this.
I don't think anybody watched this one. This is the only WrestleMania I have not seen start to finish. I was not watching wrestling during the time. I've went back and found all the shows that I missed, except for this one. And I guess now, thanks to fucking Tom, I've got to go watch it. But don't go watch it without us. Hang around later this month. Tony and I are going to watch that whole show with you, which will be fun. WrestleMania 11. So if you haven't already, man, join in on the fun over at patreon.com/WHW Monday. You get to see Tony's button on a fur coat. You get to see WrestleMania 11. You got Money in the Bank 2011. What's up with the 11s? But we're about to cover August of 1993. Clash of the Champions 24. If you're looking for it on the WWE Network, the date was August 18th, 1993. And Tony, I guess since everybody's caught up and we know why we're here and what we're doing, time for our tag team partner to tell us what's going down.
It's time to bring Lois in to give us our countdown.
3, 2, 1, hit play, hit play.
All right, it's Ric Flair. It's the Colossal Kongs. It's Sting and Ric Flair. They'll be going against Harley Race's men, the Colossal Kongs. Yes, total of 10,000 pounds of meat. And you have the Bullshit Horsemen. And in also the big main event, Davey Boy Smith against Big Van Vader for the WCW World Title, plus a flair for the gold that you'll never forget. It's time for the Clash of the Champions. And we're Daytona Beach, where it's packed to the rafters. Not a seat to be found. They are completely sold out. We had to turn away people from the beach area. We had to turn away many. Oh my God, take a look, if you would, at me, Conrad Thompson.
How about the body here? How would you describe his look with the goatee and the Oakley shades and got the croaky on, and then like this long, he's completely bald except for this long ponytail in the back.
Yes, he's got Jimi Hendrix shirt on, and he's very, very tan. And I'm kind of tan too because, Conrad, as you know, I've been in the makeup chair during the day. But however, Flying Brian cannot participate in tonight's world title match. That's because he has an ankle injury. And he's telling us now that the man to my right is going to end up being one of the biggest superstars. That's right. I don't know what I'm still doing here in this bullshit organization here in 1993, but in the future, I'm going to become Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's the bottom line because the blondes say so.
By the way, we didn't talk this week, but I feel like I should catch you up. I talked to Steve Austin this week, like on the telephone.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, how did that all come about?
Well, I guess we had a bit of a falling out and I didn't know about it.
Right. Well, he blocked you, didn't he, one time or something?
Yeah, I think I'm still blocked. Well, anyway, DDP said, bro, what's going on with you and Steve? I said, I don't fucking know. I didn't know there was anything. And he said, no, I think there is. So I thought, well, I need to correct that. So I sent him a text and I was like, hey, I don't know what happened or how we got sideways here, but, I'd like to talk about it. And he called, we had a great conversation and misunderstanding, all good. So,
yeah.
And speaking of all good, here comes Paul Roma in an airbrush t-shirt. Fucking A, man. Chat me up about Paul Roma in an airbrush t-shirt. Who thought this was a good idea?
Well, who thought it was a good idea to put Paul Roma in the Horsemen? I mean, for crying out loud, you know, I had a feeling when this happened, and it's, yeah, I guess it is a knock on Paul Roma. I've always liked Paul. I really have. But to me, it just seemed here now in 1993, years after the Horsemen were developed. I guess we're talking 8 years after the Horsemen were developed. And I guess they began in 1985, that we're just trying to cling and hold on to the Horsemen and put anybody in there we can just to keep the Horsemen name up. And you know what? As you watch this match and as you're going to watch the finish here of the match, the fans were still into the Horsemen, regardless of whoever was in that spot. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely they are.
So in this match, Lord Steven Regal will defend one half of the World Tag, will defend along with, I thought that was such a cool move by Lord Steven Regal right there. He looks back at Brian in the crutches and he kind of looks up like, oh, geez, what a wimp. He was a straight cold heel. It didn't matter who he was wrestling or who he was partners with. And I know I've talked about my love for Regal on this podcast many times, but he was just tremendous. See, look at him looking at Pillman. Just too good, man.
I mean, look at all the talent you're going to have in this ring. You know, that really doesn't get talked about, but I mean, Steve Austin going to be the biggest star in the history of the world. Brian Pillman, man, what could have been. By the way, it's hard to look like a badass in jean shorts and Tevas. Lord Steven Regal, Arn Anderson, And then there's Paul Roma, who I've always contended sort of gets a bad rap. But those airbrush t-shirts, man, I can't. Can you imagine Ric Flair wearing a fucking airbrush t-shirt?
Don't we have one on LoisRules.com? We still have one there?
Oh yeah. I think we have an airbrush t-shirt there because we've made fun of this before, but you know, the idea that a horseman, like one of the horsemen looks as a fucking airbrush t-shirt. By the way, if you and Lois were to truck on down to Panama City this weekend, I don't know why, and you decided, you know what, let's get us an airbrush t-shirt. What do you think Lois would get?
Probably a nice airbrush t-shirt with an arrow to the right or the left saying, "I married this dumbass?" ? Something like that.
Well, that's hurtful.
Well, that's our lives. You know, that's absolutely our lives. Hey, by the way, speaking of Brian Pillman, I met Brian Pillman II.
Oh, really?
At a recent MLW taping. And he came up to me and stuck out his hand, and I said, "You don't even have to tell me who you are, and I've never seen you on TV, but damn, you look like your dad." I mean, it was surreal to see him. And apparently he's been injured too, so he was kind of at ringside with the new Hart Foundation of Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Teddy Hart.
By the way, as a fan, I'm a fan of the new Hart Foundation. I love Teddy Hart. I'm pulling for Brian Pillman Jr. I haven't seen him perform. I'm a big fan of Davey Boy's son, though. I mean, it feels like there is a lot of opportunity with that for MLW. We've talked about Harry before here on the show, or maybe that was with Bruce. Either way, that's a big kid, is it not?
My God. He shook my hand and I said, "Listen, don't try to break it." And he was like, "Hey, it's good to meet you." And I'm like, "Holy shit, man, lighten up, buddy." I mean, whatever happened to the kayfabe handshake?
Yeah, I don't think that's the thing anymore. I think they quit doing that.
They have. They absolutely have. And have I ever told you a story about the kayfabe handshake that I did to one of Lois's friends?
No.
Okay, we were living in Connecticut, and Lois had some friends. What? That should have been a damn disqualification right there. What the hell? We were in Connecticut, and Lois had some of her Army friends in, and I can't remember what the guy's name was. Was he a major? Bob Young. He was in the service, and they came to the house, and Lois introduces me to Bob Young, and I stick out my hand, and I give him the kayfabe handshake. And of course, that's what I'm just used to doing. And I could see in his face the reaction of me like a dead fish holding out my hand and just barely touching his hand, which was the kayfabe handshake. And Lois saw it too. And Lois says, "That's the bullshit kayfabe handshake they do in wrestling. Would you shake his hand the right way?" I said, "Oh, sorry." So Lois smartened him up that day. So.
What do you think about Lois using the word kayfabe in front of non-wrestling people?
That's Lois Schiavone, buddy. Using the word kayfabe in front of a non-wrestling person.
Tell her if she wants to contribute to get on a headset or just fucking give us $9 a month and listen on Patron like everybody else.
Listen, you either get on the microphone or give us $9 and listen on Patron like everybody else. Okay. So there.
I don't get it for free.
No, you don't get anything for free here, baby. Meanwhile, in the ring, Regal just doing some great stuff in the ring against Paul Roma. This is for the World Tag Team Championship. And really, there weren't that many matches here. It's a 2-hour show, which is good, but there weren't that many matches. And of course, we are going to have a Flair for the Gold, which is, I would dare say, goes down as the most famous Flair for the Gold ever. Not only that, this is one of the most famous shows.
By the way, Paul Roma gets a bad rap, man. I know I say that all the time, but I mean, he looks good. His work's more than adequate. I think it was just a backlash because he wasn't like a Southern established badass like a lot of the, Four Horsemen guys were. Terrible camera work on this show so far. Lots of interference we're missing. Just people are not in the right spot at the right time. Is this is in Eric Bischoff's reign here when he's sort of heading up production, is it not?
Right. This is. And of course, Craig Leathers is our director. And again, it's just a case of You know, when Craig became our director, he did not have an abundance of directing experience. He had plenty of wrestling experience. He had worked for the WWF, but not an abundance of directing experience of wrestling. And you're right, a lot of missed shots and a lot of things happened that we didn't see. And that, of course, you know, Conrad, that happened all the time. I mean, that happened not only here, that happened throughout the history of WCW. It seemed like we just, and I know that's not the case, but it seemed like we always missed an important shot. I mean, we talked about, and we've seen on here, remember Barry Windham dressed up as the fake Sting?
Yep.
Yeah, we missed that. Remember? We had to go back and see it on the replay because we missed it. And that was, again, you can't always fault production. You got to fault booking and the communication that booking had, or the lack thereof, with production. And I've talked about this, my God, ad nauseum. Ad nauseum. Is that the right way to say it, Lois? Ad nauseum?
That doesn't matter.
Okay. She said yes.
Let's talk about where business is, man. June of 92, you guys were averaging 1,960 fans at your live events. June of 93, 655. You're down 66%. And you've got Arn Anderson, Brian Pillman, Steve Regal, Steve Austin. This is your opening match. And Jesse Ventura's there with your slapdick ass. The gates way down. In July of 92, they're averaging $17,640. In July of 93, 5,890. Ratings aren't down that much, only about 4.8% from a 2.1 to a 2.0, but fans are not supporting you at your live events. And your big shows, they're still hanging around, to my surprise, which sort of shocked me a little bit. Great American Bash in July of 92 had 8,000 fans, only 4,000 paid for a gate of 44,000. And those numbers are down a little bit for Beach Blast. The number of fans is up, but you guys had a lot of free tickets there, of 4,600 comps and a $33,000 gate. So 11,000 less at the gate. But to my surprise, you sell more pay-per-views. So you go from 690,000 as a gross for your Great American Bash in 92 to 1.1 million for your gross for July of 93. So there's a lot of information that we've just ran through there. People aren't coming to the live shows. We're down 66%. We're down 66% on the gates. Ticket sales are down across the board there. But for the big pay-per-views, we're doing better. What do you attribute that to?
Well, it's logical. It's television. You do not have to enjoy wrestling anymore by going to the arenas. You can enjoy it by watching it at home. It's kind of like what's been happening, and a point that I may mention many times here. What's happening now, especially in college basketball. Gates are down for college basketball, with the exception of the big teams and the teams that win all the time, like North Carolina, like Duke, like Kentucky, Connecticut, just some of the big programs, Arizona. But gates are down everywhere else. And the reason is because there is a college basketball game or two or three every night on TV. And even though they're making some money with TV, the live gate has suffered. Now, look at this. And I'll mention this too, again, when you see the finish. The fans are into this. They really are. As Dave Meltzer would wrongly say, there's a lot of heat in the building. But the fans are really into this. And, so I still think the fans are into the Horsemen. I still think the fans are into WCW, and they no longer have to spend their hard-earned money by getting their wrestling fix. Just tune on TBS and watch the Clash of the Champions. Not only that, if I'm right, the 92 to 93 year was the Kip Fry era, right?
92 was some Bill Watts, and 93 here, when Bischoff is going to take over, is when Watts is out.
All right, Watts is out. So yeah. So another transition, and you can't always blame. The fans are just, when I watched this, I was just absolutely amazed. This hot tag, and the fans are really going to pop, or at least they're trying to get Roma over. Watch this. See how see how they pop now. It just shows me that they were into our stuff, man.
God, what a back body drop. Austin just got all into that one, man.
Yes, he did, man.
Arn Anderson just delivered the world's biggest backdrop ever on Steve Austin. It was all Austin, of course. And, as Arn goes to set up the DDT, in comes William Regal. We're getting to a schmoz finish now, man. Here comes, Bill Dundee in his little outfit with the
Whoa.
nearly nails Steve Austin by accident with the crutch. They avoid it. Arn rolls him up 1, 2, 3, and the crowd is fucking wild for Roma and Arn Anderson here.
They have won the World Tag Team Championship. And again, fans love it when a title switches, right?
Well, they're probably cheering them because of the airbrush t-shirts.
That's right.
Well, heels don't wear airbrush t-shirts unless you're Chris Jericho. Otherwise, you're a babyface.
Guys, we all know that confidence can take you far in life. That's especially true in the bedroom, especially when it's time to step up to the plate. And that's where Blue Chew comes in. We've been talking about Blue Chew for, since WHW was created. That's because Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets. And here's the key, at a fraction of the cost. It's very simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part, it's done online. So no visit to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew tablets made right here in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, chew it and do it. Have better sex. We've got a special deal for our listeners as we come to you from the Blue Chew studios. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code WHW at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code WHW to receive your first month for free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We thank Blue Chew, as always, for sponsoring What Happened When.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to say, fans always cheer for a title switch. And that's why title switches, Conrad, put butts in the seats.
Call the replay here.
I just thought I'd add that in there. Oh. And here's the roll up. Arn Anderson hooking the tights.
Right in front of the referee, too, by the way. Right in front of the referee.
Absolutely.
By the way, can I just shit on Nick Patrick for a minute? I know we've talked about him and compared him to Kenny Powers, but in this match, it stood out to me, especially, and I don't know why. He is taller than most of the wrestlers. Like, that goes against all traditional setups, does it not? Here you go. Do this promo for us, Tony.
Okay, I'd like to say that I may be looking like a Ken doll here, and my hair may be colored black, but I'm still running the company, and I agree to have you two slapdicks go over as champions. The Horsemen are champions once again. Paul Roma.
Well, let me tell you something, Eric Bischoff. I appreciate being given the opportunity to be here. I know that Tully Blanchard wouldn't come in because he thought he was still a big star. We're only selling 600 fucking tickets, and I'm not going to say it's my fault. I'm going to say that it's Bill Watts' fault for suggesting we wear airbrush t-shirts, but I'm happy that I'm here and I'm the World Tag Team Champion, something I could never get done with Power and Glory.
Eric Bischoff, let me say that I look forward to going backstage and drinking a couple of Dr. Peppers, eating a couple of Zero bars, and then later on I'm going to drink about 24 beers. Normally, people think I drink about 35 beers, but tonight it's going to be 24 because I had to do a lot of work in the ring. That's right, we're the Horsemen. I eat more and I drink more than anyone alive. That's why my head is the size of a pumpkin, and you better believe it. All right, the Horsemen. Absolutely. Yes, sir. And business is down, and we'll be back. It sounded something like that, I think. I'm not sure.
By the way, I don't know that we've talked about this, but Arn Anderson going to be at StarCast.
Is he really?
Yep. And there will be the old TBS set there, and you'll be able to put on a Ric Flair robe and hold the big gold belt. And Arn and Tully will have the old ring-used NWA world titles, the blue straps they had back with the Horsemen, and JJ Dillon will be there, and you can do your own Horseman photo op. with Arn Anderson and the gang.
No, Conrad, I looked over by the way, it's starcast.com. That's Starcast with 2 R's. I looked over the list. My God, what a list, a rundown of superstars, former superstars, and current superstars that you have at Starcast.
Yeah, I mean, it should be something for everybody. Of course, if you'd like to see the stage shows, and Tony and I have something pretty special for What Happened When they're playing. They're sold out, but we do have them for pre-order at fight.tv/Starcast. You can see all 20 events live and on demand with unlimited replays. And you'll own this content forever and ever and watch it whenever you'd like. If you're there in person though, you've got to figure out, hey, which show do I want to see? But if you're seeing it on VOD, you can switch back and forth or, watch it live, however you'd like. But we've also got the all-in ring canvas and you get a piece of that too. So all the details though, if you're into this sort of thing, fight.tv/Starcast. And we've got a great match going on here. Too Cold Scorpio dancing into the ring, taking on Huntsville's own. I mean, the most famous wrestling personality of all time from the great state of Alabama, maybe, certainly from Huntsville, Bobby Eaton, one half of the Midnight Express. And this is an era where it feels like they don't really know what to do with Bobby, but they know they can get great matches out of Bobby.
Yeah. It seemed like every show during this era that you and I go back and watch together, Bobby comes out in some fashion, either as, we saw last week, Bash to the Beach 95, where he was a member of the Blue Bloods. So they used him with Lord Steven Regal there. We've seen him in singles competition. We've seen him going for tag or singles championships as well. And yeah, it's one of those matches where they say, you know what, we'll start with the Horsemen. We'll switch a title. We'll get a big pop. And then we'll come in with 2 guys that can really work. And realistically, Conrad, if you strip away all the silliness that happened, and of course I'm talking about ShockMaster, this was not a bad show.
No, it wasn't a bad show at all. And Meltzer didn't hate it either. He gave the opening match there where Arn and Paul Roma won the tag titles 3 stars. And he gives this match we're watching right now 2.5 stars. He really dug the show so far, up until this point.
I thought Scorpio did. Look at what I liked about Scorpio was his leg strength. I mean, look how he propelled off the top rope, and then he got the drop kick from close proximity. You could always tell the great athletes with leg strength, in that they could do a drop kick. This has to be somebody famous. I don't know why we're staying on the shot for 30 seconds. Do you know who this is?
No, but she was Roll Tide, especially for 1993.
Yeah, I was talking, and they stayed on the shot for a little while. So anyway, you can see that if they have a close proximity, if they're close to their opponent, and they can still jump up and extend a drop kick, it just shows what type of athletes they are. So, I'd love Too Cold Scorpio and Buff Bagwell together, but I always seem to like Scorpio better as a singles wrestler.
Right.
Yeah, I did. I just thought he was a better singles wrestler. And then again, throughout history, singles wrestling has been more popular than tag team wrestling. And Vince McMahon would agree with that, since he doesn't like tag team wrestling. I do want to clarify something, if I could.
Please do.
It was on Twitter. It was one of my few times on Twitter. And as you know, when I get on Twitter, I'll look around and I'll see something that I don't like, and I'll say something unkind. There was a tweet, and you resend it to me. There's a tweet out that we're talking. The tweet was talking about Table for 3 on the WWE Network, where Bruce Pritchard and 2 of his blow buddies, Eric Bischoff and
whoa! What is a blow buddy?
Well, you know what a blow buddy is.
No, I don't.
Well, in real life, you know what a blow buddy is, but in the vernacular here, it's just a guy that you're an ass kisser of. Okay. 2 of his blow buddies, Eric Bischoff and
John Bradshaw Layfield.
Yeah, John Layfield, Bradshaw. Had a table for 3, and someone tweeted, Conrad, you've got some pull. Why don't you get Tony Schiavone into a table for 3? I mean, you've got Pritchard on the WWE Network. You got Bischoff on the WWE Network, whereas Schiavone, he's the only one in your group that's not on the WWE Network. And I said,
well, here's the irony in that. Conrad, you've got stroke there. You've got everyone else. I'm not on there. Like what they're talking about. I don't have any stroke there. I'm the fucking mortgage guy from Alabama. I don't have any stroke there. And I wasn't on the program, but people were saying, why is Tony not on this?
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, don't downplay yourself. You always do. Don't say you're just a mortgage guy. Say you're a mortgage guy. Because in the month of September or in August into September, you're going to become the biggest wrestling promoter that month.
Oh my gosh. No, that's not true.
Oh, no, it is true. It is true. Okay. You don't have the budget of a Vince McMahon, but you got a big fucking show. Bobby with a 2 count of interesting finish. And Jesse, but anyway, back to the story. I said, maybe it's because they can kiss my fat ass.
And by the way, that went super viral, and
yes,
every news website picked it up that you were somehow at odds with WWE and told them to kiss your fat ass.
And I saw a response from a guy who says, hey, I agree with you. WWE can kiss my fat ass. What I meant was that Bruce Pritchard and Eric Bischoff can kiss my fat ass. And it came across, there's the 1, 2, 3, that the WWE could. And I went, what the hell?
By the way, that's what I thought you meant too.
Eric Bischoff and...
No, I thought you meant that WWE could kiss your ass.
No, I meant Bischoff and Pritchard. Hey, let's take a look at the replay once again, Conrad, because Jesse brought this up. Too Cold Scorpio really didn't do a good job of working this 360 dive because he lands on Bobby. They're going to show it at another angle. Here's the cross body. And Bobby took it, hit one side, but watch this. Man, he landed right on him and took the knee and landed right on the side of the head of Bobby. Man, kids that just don't know how to work.
Well, I mean, you can't say that Too Cold doesn't know how to work. I mean, Too Cold's, you just said earlier, we got to get 2 guys in there who know how to work. By the way, if you're not excited for what's coming, you must be dead, because we've got Johnny B. Bad and Max Payne. Yep. This is as exciting as it gets, folks. Clash of the Champions 1993. Who booked this shit?
Yeah. You know who booked this shit. Here's something here. Here's something. Johnny B. Bad in this angle. Look at that guy stick his head in the camera. Son of a bitch. Get him off throw him out of the building. Johnny B. Bad in an angle. And here comes Max Payne, who I thought was just super cool. We've had Max on our shows before. But there was an angle here where Johnny B. Bad had been burned and had been disfigured.
Yeah, because he took the blaster to the face.
Right. So now he's going to come out with a mask on, and it's going to be, this entrance is going to be one of the goofiest entrances I've ever seen.
By the way, Max Payne right here looking like a talented Matt Coon.
Yeah, you can't use talent and Matt Coon in the same sentence. That's impossible.
I mean, look at this. Max Payne is a giant of a man, and Nick Patrick's almost eye to eye with him.
Yeah.
What happened? I mean, I know that his dad's in the promotion, but God, would you look at this? Would you look at this?
I don't know. I don't know what to call this. I don't.
Fucking awful. What is this?
Oh, Jesus.
You know what? I've got to find him. I got to get him to StarCast. I need him to come out and strut that ass to this. Man, where are these good looking women coming from? This is a WCW show in 93. This should not be the case. Y'all got some Roll Tide fans here today.
You're not kidding. We had some Roll Tide fans at Bash to the Beach 95. We every time we have Roll Tide fans, you say, they're plants. We were in transition between women who love wrestling, or as we used to call them, rats, and the fanboys.
I don't think you're allowed to say rats in 2018.
I can't?
No, I don't think that's allowed anymore.
Okay, well, let me put it in this context. We just had Northwest Exterminating come to our house because we have rats in the basement.
Oh, yeah. Now, I wanted to ask you about that, because this is something that I think I should get a little bit of the blame for. And I'm not proud of this, but now that you're back in wrestling and you're back in the spotlight and you're back on TV and you've got this hit podcast, now for the first time in a long time, you got rats again.
Mm-hmm.
And I just needed to know, since Lois is not interested, saying, magnifying glass, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's the rat business like now in 2018? Give us a flavor for the rats in 2018.
Yeah, I'll give you a flavor for the rats. They had to put traps in the attic.
Oh, they found their way into the attic. Did those rats get my fucking belt?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, they had a battle royal for it.
Well,
and we could hear it.
battle royal.
A rat battle royal.
You got me. You know what? I mean, you've called worse. You called the battle riot for MLW. Well, let's talk about that. PCO. You got to meet PCO.
Oh, man.
Since he's sort of reinvented himself. Of course, we're talking about Pierre Carl Ouellette.
Right.
And you should go out of your way to see the Quebecer, who has really reinvented himself in a big way with some silly vignettes that I just absolutely love. I know some people don't get them. I think they're tremendous. What'd you think meeting him and seeing him work here in 2018?
Well, I got to talk to him again. We talked, and it wasn't long, but we talked for a little while. You know, I remember him wrestling in WCW, man, the gimmick is now the French Canadian Frankenstein or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you know what? He plays the part in the ring, man. He stalks around with his eyes bugged out like Frankenstein. He's got like a scar on his chest, like he's had his new heart put in. I love the gimmick, and I've seen the crazy shit he's done in his workout videos, and it's bizarre, man.
You got to see it. If you have no idea what we're talking about, you owe it to yourself to go check him out. He's on Twitter. Just look him up. PCO, man. He's probably coming to a town near you too. By the way, the match is over. I can't believe this is real, but there's a confetti parade. Jesse Ventura is trying to interview the masked Mark Marrow, and he's got Norma Jean, the guitar of Max Payne. What's he saying here, Tony?
I got the guitar. I got Norma Jean, the guitar. And even though my face may be burned, as you can tell, I'm still very happy. In other words, I don't know how to sell an angle, but that's not my fault because agents and bookers have not told me how to sell it because I'm a bad fucking man. Woo! All right, Johnny, get out of here.
Getting the guitar.
Yeah.
I mean, why should we care? By the way, this one only gets half a star. Meltzer would write, Payne unmasked bad early, but he had a second mask on. This seemingly ended the feud. It was too short to amount to anything, but not boring at all. Half a star.
All right, brace yourselves. Sit in your chairs. Get ready to go. We are going to join in one of the great moments, one of the most memorable moments. Would you say, Conrad?
Hey, you know what?
WCW history.
I think I saw in the opening package there, and I could be wrong, but was Beth Flair featured in one of the little vignettes there as they were showing like clips of Flair to open up?
Yeah.
So this is pretty fun. His wife is in the opening package.
Right.
To introduce Flair for the Gold. And now he walks onto the set and he's talking about being live and in Daytona Beach. And he's about to introduce us to
his
mistress, Wendy, Fifi the maid. Now, of course, in real life, they're together now and happily ever after. But I didn't know that his current wife was in the vignette. And then, hey, ladies and gentlemen, turn it around one time, show them what's really happening, what's going on, Fifi. It's so amazing to me.
You know, I think what's amazing to me is how Wendy has not only become a part of his life, but has been with him in that very serious illness that he is now kicked out of. She has been so much a part of his life. And even though, you know, he brought her in and he got her a payday and did whatever he did else during that time with Wendy, she has kind of returned the favor and now has taken care of Pop. Wouldn't you say?
Oh man, she's been wonderful for Pop. She is the love of his life. And I mean, has really played caretaker for the last year. And they had some tough times. She was there when everything happened with Reed and, you know, sort of helped him through that. And as he would say, he had a stint in the joint and, you know, came out and then had the big illness last year. And it's been tough. And she's been there step for step the whole way through. And I'm happy to report that he's home now. He's out of the hospital. Everything's fine. He's still got, it was a major surgery, so he's still got several weeks of recovery, but you'll start seeing him crank out some videos for social media, and he's shilling things again over at RicFlairShop.com. So if you haven't already, go get your kids a backpack or a pillow. There's no pictures of baby's arm holding apples there. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. As we head towards the ShockMaster here, I want the fans to go back, and I want them to listen to what this is, the pitfalls of having everybody mic'd. Everybody's got a lav, right? And when the ShockMaster busts his ass, many of the guys like Davey Boy Smith laughs, but they're on mic. They don't think they're on mic, right? Because they're used to having a mic pointed at them, thinking they're on mic. So they're not used to having a lav. So you hear Davey Boy Smith say something like, "Oh, he busted his arse." And it was a hilarity. And you can see Flair backing up, right? Flair's backing up. He's got to wrestle a little bit later on. And Flair is almost like, "I'm out of here with this bullshit." See, he's backing up, and he's going to leave. He's going to leave the building for all this to happen. When this first happened live, Conrad, it looked to me like they stuck a Roman candle up his ass and blew him out the other side of the wall. That's what it looked like to me.
Here we go.
All right.
They've been teasing who the mystery guest is going to be. Of course, Sid and the Harlem Heat are ready to take on all comers at the pay-per-view. And they're saying, who it's going to be, and they're going to shock the world because their mystery partner is none other than the ShockMaster.
Boom! Put that helmet back on, Fred. Oh, whoa, what the fuck? Whoa! All right, I'm gonna rub my hands. Let me tell you, when I got here to the building today, I had nothing to put on. Janie Engel went out to Ross. She went out to TJ Maxx, and she found this shitty-looking robe. We tore. Right, get that motherfucker out of here. I'm all steroided up. Yes, we pulled off the arms, and we found at a Halloween shop a stormtrooper mask, and then we put glitter on it. And by about 5 o'clock this afternoon, we said, that looks pretty fucking good. And then we said, how are we going to make this even more bizarre? We're going to throw me through a wall. And I didn't realize the board was down there, so I bust my ass. Be that as it may, I certainly hope that War Game. I can't do it. I can't fucking do it. I absolutely can't do it. And let's hear it for Sid Vicious. Let's hear it for Sid Vicious and steroids, okay? He's so geeked up steroid out now, he doesn't give a shit. He didn't laugh because he's pissed off at the world. And there it was. Now, in real life, real time here, Jesse Ventura and I are laughing so hard. We are so glad that there is a commercial break here, and we are fucking dying. And as we come back, we start to laugh again. And I don't know how to handle it. I mean, Jesus, how do you sell? You're supposed to sell this ShockMaster as this big guy who's going to come in and take care of Sid Vicious. So Jesse sells it, and I didn't know what to say. Jesse says, how about that ShockMaster entrance? And we start laughing again. It was the funniest moment that I had ever been a part of. And I had been a part of some funny clusterfuck moments. But again, my vision right now, Steamboat's coming out, again, is that Fred was shot through that wall. And it was just an amazing scene. And that moment right there is why everybody wanted to see this Clash of the Champions. Unforgettable. And of course, as we went forward, Dusty, trying to play off of this, made the ShockMaster Uncle Fred and made him just a fucking goofball. And you know what? I thought that was the best thing they could do with it, because the fucking ShockMaster was dead, right? He's done.
Yeah, I mean, his career never recovered from this. And I know a lot of people sort of make fun, but he was over in the WWF as Tugboat and then one half of the Natural Disasters, but Fred's career never recovered. And this became one of the most wrestle crap moments in history. And How about Paul Roma coming to the ring here with his world television title, which by the way, that belt will be at StarCast, the actual belt he's wearing there, the television championship, but he's wearing the belt around the outside of the robe.
Yeah.
You didn't see that very often. Rick Rude did it. Orndorff did it. Maybe a handful of others. What do you think? Are you for wearing the belt on the outside of the robe, or should it be underneath?
I think it should be underneath. And I really think it should be displayed underneath. I don't like them coming down with the, around their shoulder. I like it. And of course we got Michael Buffer here.
What do you make of Michael Buffer coming out for a television title match?
Well, I guess it elevates the television title, right?
No doubt. It just feels, I don't know, maybe a little out of place. Ricky Steamboat, of course, a handful of years prior to this, we'll call it 4, maybe even less. He was challenging for the world title with Ric Flair, and now he's battling for the TV title. And he came to the ring, not like the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat that we saw back in the day, but instead, he had the fire breathing gimmick here that he had brought down from Vince McMahon. I'm sure when he was put with that, he maybe had to put it over as being, oh, this is a great idea, Vince. But when he comes to WCW, you guys want him to do it too. So he wears like this goofy cape on his back and then breathes the fire. I thought this was unnecessary for Ricky Steamboat. Who in the back thought, hey, this guy's a great wrestler, but he's pretty bland. We need something to sort of spice him up.
Yeah, I don't think that was it. I think we were trying to play off of, bring in the WWF fans that remember Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to breathing fire and all this bullshit. You know, we had in the course of this show, we talked so much about getting WWF talent, right? Back in the day with Hall and Nash and Okerlund and Heenan, and obviously many others like Vincent. I thought I'd throw that in there. So, but here we've got Ventura. We got Steamboat back from the WWF. We're going to have the Road Warriors come back, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to have Cactus Jack, who's returned. I don't think Cactus went to the WWF and came back, but he hadn't been with us for a while, and he kind of makes a return here at the end of the show.
No, Cactus had not been there yet. And I would argue that, you know, a lot of these guys made their name with you, whether it was Steamboat or it was the Road Warriors, whoever, but you're saying that they even wanted to copy the New York look, the version of themselves that they were up there.
Yeah. So as you can tell, a light bank has gone out here.
I know.
This is so WCW.
You know, this.
Yeah. You know, here's my thought about all this. And we've had so many lights go out. How many lights have we seen go out on the shows that we've been covering? Okay?
This is at least the second time.
Yeah. So here's the deal. If the lights go fucking out, tell that person, you know what? We don't want you to fucking again. Get somebody fucking else. Because I tell you, if the lights go out in the concert, them fucking roadies are going to stick it up the ass of the lighting people. That's just my thought.
All right, Tony, I got a reminder for everybody. Cold turkey might be great on sandwiches. Actually, it is. But there is a better way to break your bad habits. Now, we're not talking about some sort of weird mind voodoo from your crazy neighbor or somebody who eats parking lot panties like our pal Klondike Bill. We're talking about our sponsor, Fume. And you see, they look at the problem in a different way. You know, not everything in a bad habit is wrong. So instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Well, Fume is an innovative, award-nominated device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy, and it makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial, and it's designed with movable parts and magnets for your fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety when you're breaking your bad habit. And I have to admit, I wasn't too sure about this, but my wife, man, she absolutely loved the taste. The very first time she tried it, she told me it was much more flavorful than she thought, and it feels very fresh. They've got a ton of great flavors. Her favorite, hands down, is crisp mint. I recommend you check that one out. She also tells me it's well weighted, perfectly balanced, and it's just fun to fidget with. Gives her something to do with her hands, like Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights, right? It's also pretty cool to look at. It's beautiful, real wood. It's got a fun shape. I don't know, man. It's just a cool vibe. But here's the deal. Stopping is something we all put off because it's hard. But switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has over 100,000 customers and thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you too. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use the code WHW to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use the code WHW and you'll save an additional 10% off your order today. Head right now to tryfume.com/WHW and use the code WHW to save an additional 10% off your order today. Well, let's tell you what Meltzer's thought was when he was recapping the show. He says, there isn't much to say about Clash of the Champions. The crowd was 8,903 fans in the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach, of which about 2,400 were paid. It would be the largest number of people in the building for a WCW show this year, but that's just because fans in the city were more receptive to using the freebies. Because the show was cut to 2 hours, most of the matches were cut very short. Nothing dragged because of those time constraints, but nothing had time to build anything special either. Here we go. The show did feature the most unintentionally funny and embarrassing moment in recent wrestling history. During the Flair for the Gold segment, Davey Boy Smith and Sting were to introduce their mystery partner for the War Games on September 19th in Houston. Sting called him the ShockMaster, and he came through the wall, tripped, and his mask fell off. It was Fred Ottman. He had to put the mask on and stood there while Ole Anderson did the Black Scorpion voice for him. It was one of the biggest bloopers on live television in recent memory, and enough to give a marginal thumbs down for the show. And ultimately the fans agreed with this assessment because when he put it to the readers of the Observer, they thought the best match was Davey Boy Smith and Big Van Vader. They thought the worst match was Johnny B. Bad and Max Payne. And they gave the show 46.5% thumbs down, 31.8% thumbs up, and only 21.7% thumbs in the middle. You watched it this week for the first time in a long time, Tony. What'd you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle?
I give it 2 thumbs up, and I'm going to tell you why, because I thought the matches were short enough to where they didn't drag, like Knucklehead said. And we're years later, right? I mean, we're many, many years later. I understand.
Can I just tell you, I like the lighting right here better. Keep going. I'm just saying, I like this version of the lighting better.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was intentional, but I don't think so.
No, it wasn't, but it makes it feel like you're at a real show. Like,
right.
That's what you would see if you were at a house show. And I don't hate that it's just lit like this. It feels like ECW or Smoky Mountain or Ring of Honor or, something like that.
Yeah. The only difference between us and Smoky Mountain and Ring of Honor was we had and that's not the shit on Ring of Honor. We had a big television clearance. We were owned by a TV company. So anyway, going back to thumbs up or thumbs down, you had to love that segment. I mean, you had to give that segment a thumbs up.
Oh yeah, it was funny. I mean, no doubt, it was funny.
It was unintentional, hilarious TV.
Yeah.
And again, the backstory, and I kind of went through this when I was trying to do a Shockmaster voice. Yes, Ole did the voice. In the back, he had a microphone and did the voice. And they got to the building that day, and they had planned the Shockmaster, but no one had planned on what the Shockmaster would look like. Nothing.
Wow.
There had been no communication, nothing. And we saw a bunch of dicklicks running around during the day going, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We promoted this big surprise. What are we going to do? We know it's going to be Fred. What are we going to do? And they sent poor old Janie out to come up with something on her own. And God bless her, one of the greatest ladies ever in the business. And that's what she came up with because she was pressured to do it in a hurry. And someone else helped her put glue all over a stormtrooper mask and put the glitter on top of it. And it looked like, I don't know what it looked like to me, the the kind of a smock that you would put on to get a haircut. And that's what they came out with in that instance. And that to me, that event, that Flair for the Gold ended up being one of the most memorable things we've ever done, because that day, no one bothered to get to the arena beforehand with an idea of what they wanted the ShockMaster to look like. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think something like that would have ever happened in Vince McMahon's company?
No. And here's why: they just wouldn't have done it. If they didn't have a plan, they would have waited and done it later. I mean,
right.
This was clearly a ready, shoot, aim approach.
Right. He would have never done anything like that. If he was going to debut something like that, they would have had a costume designer. They would have had somebody come up with the look. They would have rehearsed all this going through the wall or whatever. They just didn't do any of that shit. And that is why it became one of the most memorable moments. Not because, and yeah, it may have tainted his career, and it's a shame that it did, but I'm not faulting him with any of this shit. It's poor planning, terrible execution, and to me, it just reeks of WCW. It's a WCW moment.
One of the things that people sort of, and you can clear this up. The talk is you guys did a walkthrough that day of him busting through the sheetrock, and it went flawlessly, but allegedly somebody on the crew says, okay, guys, we need you to rebuild this sheetrock wall. And they do. But when they rebuild it, they put that 2x4 across the bottom as a support, almost like it was being built legitimately, not for this moment, but like, hey, this is the way you would normally build a fucking wall here.
Right.
And of course nobody tells Fred. So he comes busting through thinking it's just like it was before, and it's not.
Right.
So he, fucks himself up. Is that the way you remember it?
Yeah, that's the way I remember. Now, I just said it wasn't rehearsed. It was rehearsed. It really was. But again, it wasn't rehearsed with that board in the bottom. Well, and no one, after they built it, no one bothered to go and look at it again.
Allegedly, even when they do the walkthrough, and again, I wasn't there.
Right.
I've heard that when they did the walkthrough, they didn't have the costume finalized. They're just sort of walking through what it would be. And the costume was sort of last minute. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, are you sure that's a stormtrooper mask? Yes, we're fucking sure.
Oh, well, yeah, it was. Because I remember Janie coming to me. She said, how do you think this looks? And I paused and I looked at her. God, I love her. And I said, you know what, Janie, for the rush job that you had to do and the fact that they didn't even know what they wanted, that's as good as we're going to get right now. I mean, what the hell are we going to do? Just put another mask on? Johnny B. Bad had a mask on. The Kongs have mask on. Just put a mask on the guy. It.
No, tell the truth. You loved it. And you probably have a picture of you wearing that ShockMaster helmet somewhere.
Well, I'm a big Star Wars guy, as you know.
So do you have a picture of you wearing this somewhere?
No, I don't.
That would be tremendous.
But I can tell you that, there's my God, Ricky Steamboat is the world television champion. I can tell you with glee that we are fixing up a room here for me to start.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be fucking Star Wars themed.
Star Wars and comic book themed.
Okay.
Batman, Superman, Captain America, Star Wars, Star Trek, all themed.
Just so you know, if I'm ever invited, I'm making a lot of fun of you.
Well, you are always invited to the house, but again, we need some warning so the dog hair will get up.
That's not true. I'm not invited because you've never actually invited me.
Standing invitation. Would you say Lois, would you say Conrad will have a standing invitation to our house? Provided he gives notice.
Well, here's what I want. Not for you to clean up the fucking dog hair, but for you to make sure those rats aren't getting to my belt. If I find out those rats are wearing my belt before I get to, come on.
Here's the good news. I think I've told you this. the fact that the rats are in the attic, we have to completely take everything out of the attic.
By the way, you know, Lois is clearly within earshot of you, and you're just saying the rats are in the attic like that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. In the meaning of what's going on, oh boy, Tony Schiavone and Jesse the Body Ventura. Right now we are still yucking about what we have seen. And we're trying to promote Fall Brawl, the War Games, and the ShockMaster is going to be a part of it. Whoa. What the fuck is wrong with us? Sunday, September 19th, and only on pay-per-view.
That match that we just saw, by the way, I feel like I should tell you, got 3 stars. Of course, as we mentioned, Ricky Steamboat wins the television title. And after the match, Orndorff would attack Steamboat on the ramp, and he gave him a pile driver on the title belt. So they're not done. Coming up next, though, we've got Ric Flair and Sting taking on the Colossal Kongs. I can't believe this is a real sentence.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I do believe before we have this match, we're going to go to Eric Bischoff, who's going to be standing by with the Colossal Kongs. And Eric, with his dyed hair and his spray on tan, looks pretty damn good. He's a handsome guy. Didn't you think Eric was a good looking guy?
No.
Oh, my God. I know a lot of women that just loved him. Take a look. Thank you very much, Tony. And we're here with the Colossal Kongs, and boy, do they reek of body odor. And here's the former world champion, Harley Race, who's going to bring the Colossal Kongs to the ring. They've never been taken off their feet. That's right. Take it away.
These are the worst tag team wrestlers on God's green earth. You see, Jody Hamilton has had 2 jabronis down at the power plant, and he's trying to teach them how to wrestle. Now, they didn't ask me, the greatest wrestler on God's green earth, to teach them how to wrestle. Instead, Jody Hamilton fed them some of my sandwiches. You see, I run the world's best sandwich shop. In fact, it's the best sandwiches on God's green earth. And you're going to see me get the fuck out of WCW and get to the big screen with the Bad Santa. Let's go read those scripts right now, boys.
And that's coming up next.
The awesome fucking Kongs, dude. What are we, or the Colossal Kongs? I mean, the dude was going by Big Hoss McAllister, King Kong, Crusher Kong, Meat, Texas Terminator Hoss. Chat me up. What the fuck is this?
Well, here's what we had done. And in theory, not a bad idea. All right. Over 1,000 pounds of Colossal Kongs, right? Never been taken off their feet. And we brought that up. Never been taken off their feet. So that was the storyline going in. And you're going to see, of course, you know, fans love Sting and fans love Flair. You're going to see them take them off the feet, and the fans are going to buy it. They're going to respond to it. So I get it. Yeah, these guys are like, holy shit. Listen. They are absolutely blown up right now walking to the ring. They are. They're completely blown up walking to the ring. You see them puffing and huffing because they just made that walk on the rampway. And here they come. That's a dynamic look. Kind of surprised, if I'm recalling here, and I have the sound down here, of course, but I think they came in with Sting's music.
You know, here's what I just realized. That's David Flair sitting front row with Beth.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was David Flair sitting front row with Beth, which makes him doing a promo with Fifi the maid even better. By the way, that's one of Flair's most beautiful robes. He wore it on the debut Nitro, and then you see him sporting it here. I think he won it when he won the world title for the 10th time. When he beat Barry Windham. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? It's a beautiful robe. I thought it was a very slimming robe on him. You know, it had less poof to it. Less poof.
I've always liked Sting's jackets when they weren't the full length duster jackets. The full sequin shorter jacket is the cooler Sting to me. This duster Sting is stupid as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is fucking awful.
Gross.
This is awful. This looks
Yep.
like every independent show ever in 1993. And now you guys have got him on TV, and Harley Race has got to be fucking embarrassed. You know, we're only 10 years removed from him being, you know, headlining Starrcade with that guy. And now they're standing across the ring from each other, but one's with Sting and the other's with the fucking Colossal Kongs.
But you know, the flip side of that, Conrad, is I thought it was great. Always making sure Harley had a job.
Oh, it's tremendous. And
Yeah.
you know, from the real life standpoint, I think it's cool as shit that they kept him in a gig.
Yeah. If I ran a wrestling company like Vince McMahon does, or like you do, I would,
Listen to you. I don't run a wrestling company.
okay. When this is over, everyone listening to us, all the slapdicks listening to us, go to starcast.com and take a look at the lineup.
It's a podcasting convention.
You're the fucking promoter. You're a promoter. Get used to it. Okay. Next year, this time, you're going to be promoter of the year. Dave Meltzer going to have you promotion of the year is going to be Starcast.
No, let me just tell you, here's a spoiler for you. It's New Japan Pro Wrestling for this year.
Okay. They're off their feet. My God, they're off their feet. Look, my God.
My Lord. Some big body slams here
And
by
see the
Sting,
fan
and the
grin
crowd
for it.
is fired up, and Flair is strutting on the apron, getting them going.
This match lasted what? 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
That's about 3 minutes too long.
And here's how ugly these guys were. Jimmy Suzuki is the best looking guy at ringside, and he's ugly as shit. Wow.
This match that you sort of joked about, going 4 minutes only goes 2 minutes and 14 seconds.
That's 2:14 too long.
Meltzer would say, at least it was high energy all the way. Although I can't figure out why Sting couldn't win using his hold in a squash match. Well, because he probably fucking can't put it on.
Exactly. You know, here's somebody, one of his a reader should have said, you know, stick to commentating on the matches and leave the booking to somebody else. He's booking finishes now. Fuck.
It is a little bit of a waste that, you know,
that Meltzer had a dirt sheet.
No, I'm saying that you had two of the biggest, you know, wrestling stars. Sting and Flair are big stars for you guys. I mean, all over the wrestling business, but specifically for you guys. And man, they're in and out here. Couple minutes. Like, if it's a real TBS special, you would think you'd like to have them do something a little more than they do, but here we go. Yep. Pay attention, boys and girls. Here comes Sting.
Yep. The fans, when the Colossal Kong, whatever he was, missed, wow. He took a pretty good bump there for a big guy on that lariat.
You're a wrestling commentator. You know things. What's the difference between a lariat and a clothesline?
There's no difference at all.
So Sting with the Stinger Splash after a couple of drop kicks and a lariat. Now he's going to the top rope. Is this going to finish him off? What's he going to do? Big splash off the top. We're going to hook the leg. That's it. The fans are going wild.
Yeah. Well, maybe he should have put on the Scorpion Deathlock. And the fans would have gone wilder.
Flair climbed to the top rope and did something. How about that? He didn't get thrown off.
Yes, sir. That's right. He didn't shake his head. No.
What do you think? What do you think Beth was fussing about after the show?
Just about everything.
Okay.
And look at this.
Handful of nuts.
Another handful of nuts. If, of course, you can. I have a feeling their nuts are just tucked up in there. It was probably hard to find them.
Man, he took care of him on that splash, did he not?
Yep.
There you go. 1, 2, 3. Who was the referee here? It looks like Eric Bischoff's cousin.
I think that was Jimmy Jett, who was the referee, one of our referees at that time. Jimmy was a good kid. Where he came from, I don't know.
Probably his mom and dad, if I had to venture a guess.
Yeah, that's very good. Absolutely.
I'm just freestyling.
He could have been orphaned. All right. Sting, Ric Flair. Let me ask you, what do you think of my brown pants, my brown tie, and this linen jacket I got on here. Does it look good or does it not look good? That's what I want to ask you, Rick.
Tony Schiavone! I need everybody to stand up and take note of the Nature Boy. Not because I cleaned house in 2 minutes with the Stinger. Everybody expected that. But I managed to get my wife front row while I'm out here strutting that ass with my mistress. You see, not a lot of guys can pull this off, Tony Schiavone, but the Nature Boy can. There's enough of the Nature Boy to go around, Tony Schiavone. You know what I'm talking about. The baby's arm, holding an apple, the cat bath, all the hits, Tony Schiavone. 16 times you're world champion, and not all of those were won in the ring.
Woo! And I would agree, Nature Boy Ric Flair. Not only that, you just hosted probably the worst segment ever and came out here and wrestled. The smile on your face is like the smile on my face. We're still laughing about the biggest clusterfuck in WCW history. In addition, as you know, the Four Horsemen win the World Tag Team Championship. And if I were like you, Ric Flair, I would go and get the Lord and try to get saved.
Well, I'm on my way to go backstage and let Fifi the maid clean me up, Stinger. And then I'll be out on the town with my wife tonight like nothing happened, because that is what being a horseman is all about. Woo!
The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and Sting, an incredible story developing here tonight, and we're coming back.
How about people who spell Ric Flair's name Rickflare?
Yeah.
Fucking delete your account. I know you're not even on Twitter, but who does that? How do you get this wrong? You're such a wrestling fan that you're not only going to the shows, you're making fucking signs, and you spell it Rickflare. Take a poop with your pants on, asshole.
You know what? They are just following the lead from Clash of the Champions, Raging Cajun, where Flair came out and we spelled it Rick. Remember that?
Yes.
So yeah, they're following our lead. All right, Jesse, what do you got to say about all of this?
Tony Schiavone, we've had people come out here and bust their ass, and I'm not used to that. Usually the ass busting's happening in the ring whenever there's a Killer Bees match. You know what I'm saying? But instead tonight, you took an overact and you murdered it. No more Tugboat, no more Typhoon. Now it's the goofy ass ShockMaster.
Yeah, and the evening is going to go down even further because we still have to come Dustin Rhodes and a mystery partner against Rick Rude, and they're going to put him in there. Can you believe that? With the fucking equalizer. Let's go to the ring. Jeez, if the Colossal Kongs weren't enough, we bring in the equalizer.
Talk me through the equalizer. Like, this is so fucking indie. By the way, Rick Rude looks like the man here.
Yeah, I suppose he is the man. He always looked good. The gimmick of cut the music was wonderful. I mean, he just emoted arrogance.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that Rick Rude could even do it today because people would say, oh, he's body shaming me. He said I was fat.
Right.
Like,
guess what? Most of you are.
Well, it's like, fuck, that's kind of the point. Like, Rick Rude's gimmick was body shaming. Like, that is what he does. You can't be mad. Like, you came to the show not knowing that's his gimmick. Of course, that's what he does. It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's the most revolutionary ball trimmer the world has ever seen. Gentlemen, our friends over at Manscaped have been working night and day. That's right. On your ball hair to bring you below the waist grooming experiences like no other. You know I'm talking about that brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Woo! We're talking about a next generation trimmer with interchangeable blade heads. Wow! For whatever shave your mind can imagine. You know, AI is cool. And I gotta think the biggest technological advancement the world has ever seen is when you upgrade your grooming game to the Ultra Sphere this year by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code WHW. High tech or low places, it's Manscaped. You know, Dave Silva is joining us here on the show because we know he is, he's well known in these parts for his ball routine.
Mm-hmm.
Every man knows how scary it can get when going for a close shave below the belt, especially when you got tiny little short arms like Dave Silva. And that's why he trusts Manscaped for all of his sensitive areas.
100%.
Whether it's you or your wife or your children, brother and sister, shaving dad's balls can be a full family experience. Not really, unless you're in the Silva household. Now, inside this package, you'll find the star of the show, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. And Dave, I have it on good authority. The first time they cranked this rascal up for you, they were worried it was going to look like one of those montage scenes in Dumb and Dumber when they were trimming toenails, but with hair just everywhere.
You ever go weed eating and you're afraid you're going to hit a rock? I thought that was going to happen until I used this product.
Well, I don't know about that rock business. We'll talk about that during the Manscaped spot. During the Blue Chew spot. This 5th generation trimmer has 2 interchangeable next generation skin safe blade heads. You got a standard one for taking a little off the top. That's if you're like Silva, that's all you got. And you've also got a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. And let me just go ahead and tell you, if you haven't done this before, if you're like, I'm not so sure about this. When you go smooth down yonder and you let everybody else in your household know, it's going to pay out. Why are you laughing?
Let everybody know.
Let everybody know. We also have the dual LED spotlights to provide contrast on multiple skin tones. Because if you're like me and you got that Neapolitan meat, hang on. Am I supposed to? That's an overshare. Anyway, you need to get some light down yonder, especially if it's cavernous like Silva. Wait, what are we doing? This bad boy also has the 3 different length settings. And you've got 3 length setting combs for your desired lengths. And did I mention that it's waterproof? You can shave your balls to the perfect length. And there's 3 different settings. Think of it as almost like Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. You can go way too short and way too long and just right. And you can do it in the shower, y'all. I
You can get fancy and give yourself a nice fade.
A fade? We're going to show that on WHW socials. I think you'll really like it. Maybe you're interested in taking it on the go. Because I know when I travel, what I always want to do is shave my scrotum. I tell my wife, as soon as we pull up in a new town, she's like, hey, you want me to park the car and you check in? Or should I check in and you park? I'm like, I'm going straight to the hotel bathroom to shave my bag right now, thanks to Manscaped. This right here.
it's perfect for trips.
Dude, it's got a travel case, first of all. Everything needs its own case. Duh.
Yes.
But
100%.
Secondly, it's got a travel lock feature. Because what you don't want to have happen is when you put your bag up on that little scanner and it has to go through the bag machine, you don't want that motherfucker to start bouncing around and it looks like, it's something for your wife and not for you. You know what I'm talking about. This right here is cutting edge technology for cutting pubic hair. You know I can get behind that. Everybody knows I love technology and I hate pubic hair. I know you do too. Upgrade your ball trimmer and your life will follow. And listen, I'm going to tell you, before we clicked record today, old Dave Silva was milling around a little bit and he kept going, he was hacking up a hair. You don't want that happening in your household. Get rid of those pesky hairs. It's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. Get rid of all that with our friends at Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code WHW at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code WHW at manscaped.com. I can promise you've never seen a ball trimmer look like a spaceship. Get yours today from our folks at Manscaped. And don't forget to use that promo code WHW, like what happened when Dave Silva shaved his balls. Kevin Sullivan's here, and he's pretty excited about it. We'll see you next week. Actually, this isn't the end of the show. There's more coming, but not for your ball hair. That's the end of the ball hair. Thanks to manscaped.com and the promo code WHW.
Right.
I want to mention here too, because we're going to get crucified if I don't. You said, the difference between us and Ring of Honor is we've got this powerful television company behind us. Ring of Honor is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, a billion-dollar company.
Right. I was wrong to say that. but I was just comparing what TBS was back in the day.
Oh, no doubt. I'm not, nobody's comparing the two that you guys had, didn't have resources or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, technically Ring of Honor is owned by a giant television company too. Now that wasn't always the case. Originally they were owned by, have you ever done any business with Rob Feinstein? Did you ever do a shoot interview or anything with him?
Yes, I did.
How was your deal? Lots of people have different takes on Rob, and I'd like to hear your 2 cents on Rob.
I'm going to Waynesboro, Virginia in October, my bye weekend. I don't have a football game. I'm going to Waynesboro, Virginia, booked through Rob Feinstein.
Hang on. You said bye weekend. You mean that there is an off week for football? The Georgia Bulldogs have a bye. BYE.
Right. Yeah, BYE.
Okay.
What do you? Okay, yeah. So anyway, and I've done the shoot interview with Rob. He booked me at the old ECW arena, and he was the one that booked me at WrestleCade. So WrestleCon 2 years ago in Orlando.
So you've had good dealings with Rob.
Yes, I have.
Oh, good. Well, I mean, lots of people have an opinion of Rob without ever actually meeting him. I bought some stuff over the years from Rob. He's always been straight up with me, and I'm glad to hear that you had the same experience.
Good guy. And again, I can only tell you based on my dealings with him. And I think, am I right? You may know this. Is he also kind of like partnering with Tommy Dreamer? Don't they do things together?
No, I mean, I think he's, Rob was one of the official videotape guy for ECW back in the day. So he worked a lot of shows where he would be, at the videotape stand for ECW. So I'm sure he became really good friends with Tommy Dreamer there. I don't think he has any sort of ownership interest in House of Hardcore, but I just know they're still, from what I understand, pretty good friends.
Well, with that in mind, I do want to say that, this past week I was on the Busted Open.
Oh, how did that go?
That was great. I did the show. I did an hour of the show with Dave LaGreca and Tommy Dreamer. And
is that your first time meeting Tommy, or had you met him before?
No, we had like shook hands, said hello, but we never had really talked that much. And
he's a great guy.
Yes, he is, man. Absolutely is. Got to meet Dee Snider.
Now, as an old school fan, you had to think that was fucking cool as hell.
Here what was cool, and I never mind. No one ever minds getting their ego stroked. But when Dee Snider was coming in, and as I was leaving, we all took a picture. It was put on our Twitter account. And Dee said, "We used to watch you guys on the tour bus all the time."
How cool is that?
That is fucking cool. Isn't that cool? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Here's what else is cool. Road Warrior Hawk here is the mystery partner of Dustin Rhodes. And again, just look at the talent in here, man. Dustin Rhodes, I mean, he's been around forever, a Hall of Famer to be sure. And he's standing across from Rick Rude, one of the all-time greats. And Hawk is the mystery partner. By the way, is Hawk like the prototype? Like if you had to like sketch out, here's what a pro wrestler looks like, it would be Hawk, would it not? I mean, a tall, jacked up dude, crazy haircut, face paint, the shoulder pads with the spikes. I mean, if there was no animal, Hawk would have been a top single star, would he not?
No question about it. And we put him against Ric Flair, if you'll recall, back earlier during that bunkhouse stampede, because they looked at him at being maybe moving on to be a singles wrestler. Hawk, Mike Hegstrand, had the best trapezius muscles of anybody in the business. Nobody's traps stood out like Hawk's. They were just absolutely amazing between the shoulder and the neck. See, look at that. I just thought that was,
and he's even, I mean, although he's in phenomenal shape here, this isn't at his like physical peak. I mean, he was even more jacked a few years prior to this. And you could argue that this is sort of, the end of their run, and they start winding down a little bit compared to what they were, 5 or 6, 7, 8 years prior to this. But man, they were over like Rover. The fans loved them. As a kid, I thought they were like the most badass tag team of all time. It's such an interesting dynamic though. And we've talked about this with other teams before too, but unfortunately, it feels like a lot of times with a tag team, there's one guy that becomes, not all the time, but a lot of times he's like the bigger star. And like, how big would Marty Jannetty's career had been if he was never teamed with Shawn Michaels? Because Marty Jannetty is a hell of a wrestler, hell of a performer, but when he's in the ring with Shawn Michaels, he sort of pales in comparison. And that's really unfortunate. And I think that's sort of the case with Animal. Like, Animal was a big, intimidating dude and had a great look. And, you know, obviously, look at this shit with the equalizer. You have got to go watch this fucking botch. Very slowly, Hawk was getting ready to do a neck breaker, and Equalizer just decided to fucking fall and sell it long before Hawk was ready. And it just, what a cluster. This is what you get though when you get the Equalizer on TV, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we had the Equalizer on TV, right? We had the Colossal Kongs on TV. We had guys in prime spots on one of our, probably, well, at that time with next to pay-per-views, our major show. And
more people see this than a pay-per-view. You know, that sort of gets glossed over. You know, I feel like a lot of people think the pay-per-view is the big show, and certainly from a payday standpoint for the guys, it is. But way more people see a Clash of the Champions on TBS than actually see a pay-per-view, because you're talking about free versus people have to come out of pocket.
Right. The other side of that is, and I think I've mentioned this many times, is God bless Dave Sullivan. He was such a nice man, and he was so concerned about his work. He really was. I don't know of anybody that came to me more than Dave Sullivan, and I still call him Dave, more times after matches than Dave asking me, was that okay? Do you think I did okay? Do you think I embarrassed myself? What did you think about that? I mean, he was such a big fan of the business, and he was so appreciative of being in this spot. And I think a lot of the things that he did was out of nerves, because
I guess we should tell everybody Dave Sullivan is the real person behind the Equalizer character.
Right. He became EVAD. He became the brother of Kevin Sullivan because we thought he looked like that gremlin, who, by the way, was in Battle Riot. And that was a riot too.
What do you make of my assessment that Animal would have been a bigger star had there not been a Hawk? But for that matter, so would Hawk.
Oh, yo, there's no question. I mean, listen, couldn't you, would let's say one of the guys just have a Road Warrior gimmick and be the Road Warrior? Wouldn't that have been over?
It would have been so over. And really, I think, you might could have done something a little different probably with either guy, but I think you could have done something a little different with Hawk, and you could have kept Road Warrior Animal as the Road Warrior, and it would have been over like Rover.
And there's Dave with the cover.
This match we're watching, by the way, Meltzer's going to give half a star. He says they teased Animal as the partner as he came down driving a Z28, but then Hawk showed up. The reuniting of the Road Warriors got a huge pop, but as soon as the match started, Equalizer was so bad it killed everything. Half a star.
Yeah. I wouldn't give it a half a star, but
what would you give it?
Star and a half.
Can I just tell you that I can't believe this is real.
Okay.
You guys are teasing Terry Taylor to be introduced as the fourth Horseman.
What?
Yeah, it was in the dirt sheets. Expect Terry Taylor to be introduced as the fourth Horseman. Certainly Taylor has had more than enough ability to fill a top spot, but his credibility as a headliner has been destroyed by both promotions for 5 consecutive years. Of course, thank God it didn't happen. But Terry Taylor and Paul Roma, if they both wound up as Horsemen, would Ric Flair have quit the fucking business?
Yeah, he probably killed himself, actually. Thank God we came to our senses, right?
If that would have happened, who would people be talking about as the weak link of the Horsemen? Would it still be Paul Roma, or would it be the Red Rooster?
It'd be the Rooster. I'm sure that was something that, Terry Taylor worked for us at that time. I'm sure that was something that Terry Taylor
leaked.
Probably started.
Yeah, Terry Taylor leaked that for sure.
Yeah, he called Meltzer and said, "Hey, I'm going to be a Horseman."
I wanted to mention too that you guys are also trying to promote a show. I can't believe this is real, at the Alamo Dome. This is at a time when you're drawing 600 people, but you're going to run a Great American Bash, or at least that's the plan, on August 29th. And you're bringing in big stars to help promote it locally, like Hector Guerrero. And they had Sid Vicious across from him, and Sid Vicious is instructed to do a lot of racial promos on Hispanic fans to generate heat, which is pretty crazy when you think about it.
Yes, it is. But welcome to WCW, guys. Well, this match is over. Fans pop for the finish, right? They love the Road Warriors. There's no question.
By the way, of all the people in this ring that we just saw, who would have ever guessed that 25 years later, Dustin would still be wrestling?
Isn't that something?
I mean, when you really think about what I just said out loud, this is a very physically demanding job. And 25 years later, Dustin's still wrestling.
Yeah. And you know what? Dustin was a guy that took, did a lot of things, a lot of bumps, right? I mean, he
I still think he gets enough credit.
Yeah. Just didn't stand in the corner. Well, Jesse, we're finally coming to the end of this bullshit show, and we got WCW Saturday night coming up this weekend because Nitro has not yet been formed, and we got Fall Brawl.
That's right, Tony. And let me tell you, I can't wait to get to the bar. I'm going to be looking for Bobby Heenan. I know where to look. I'm going to the bar. I'm hoping I can find somebody who can get out here and do a worse job than I can.
All right, let's take a look at how you can win this beautiful Camaro Z28. I thought this was pretty unique that they were able to put Hawk's entrance in there that quickly. It's the Z to win sweepstakes. How many of you rednecks in Alabama would want a Camaro, huh?
Let me ask you this real question. Why would they not use Z-Man for this?
Yeah. Can we have a moment of silence for my friend, the Z-Man?
You know what's funny is I just shit on Bobby Heenan. No moment of silence request from you. But
No.
I referenced Z-Man and you want a moment of silence.
Okay. Can we have a moment of silence for Bobby Heenan too?
Yeah. You know what's fun is you guys are doing name. I think a lot of people forget why that you guys did this. Send your name, address, telephone number, and date of birth to this address in order to enter to win this car. Why would you do this?
To build a
Mailing list.
mailing list, of course.
But I think a lot of people were like, oh, you mean you were just trying to capture my information so you could sell me other goods and services? Yes. Did you think they wanted to give you a car just because?
Okay, but I put it this way. All right, it costs $1.49 to make the call, and if enough people call, based on how much we're going to get per those calls, I don't know how much we end up getting. That probably paid for the car, wouldn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So,
But you could also mail shit.
yeah, you didn't have to, and that was the legality of it. You can't give something away and then charge people to try to, you had to.
Well, it becomes a lottery and that's illegal.
Right. So that's why we had, and here he comes, man. It's just,
Man, how great was fucking Vader here? I'm really glad that we got Vader on the show again this week.
yeah.
And that belt, by the way, that Harley's bringing to the ring will be at StarCast. You can actually get your picture made with that belt. And, of course, Ron Simmons will be there and you can get your picture with him in that belt, or Lex Luger, who also held that belt. He'll be there. And, there may be a chance, I guess I can tease this, Harley's health is touch and go, but his people have reached out and said, hey, could you make room for Harley? And of course the answer is hell yeah. So if Harley is, physically able to, and I think he would like to be there, and that might be cool for you because you haven't seen Harley in a long time, right?
That is just wonderful news. I mean, absolutely wonderful news, Conrad. Thank you for sharing that with us. Wow. Would that be exciting or what to have him there?
You know, I mean, it's real wrestling royalty, you know, so it sort of made me laugh out loud when his folks emailed me and said, hey, could you make room for Harley? Fuck, he can have my room. How about that? You kidding? Make room. He can have my room.
Yeah.
Not just any room, my room. You see what I'm doing there?
And, you know, let me say this too, as Michael Buffer is doing the introductions. That is why you have become such a good wrestling promoter.
First of all, I'm not a wrestling promoter. What are you talking about?
No, okay. Can I finish here?
Yeah.
That's why you've become a good wrestling promoter, because you love the business, you respect the business, and you got a great, obviously you got a phenomenal business sense, but you love the business, respect the business, and wrestlers migrate to people like that. Plus, you're an honest businessman, and you can always say that about wrestling promoters. South McMahon.
Yeah. Well, listen, I at least try to be that. You know, being honest is not always the hardest thing about this gig. You know, just
right.
here's a novel idea. Fucking tell the truth.
How about that?
Yeah.
How
What's
about
funny
that?
is, as I was putting some of these deals together for people to appear, they would actually offer less than what what I was sort of giving everybody else. So I'm like, nah, I need to do this, and it would be in their favor, and they would be like, what? More? Well, yeah, this is what I'm doing for everybody, and I don't want to be unfair. So now, of course, a lot of people are going to say, oh, that's money mark shit. But here's what I know. Those dudes are going to be sitting around. Hey, what'd you give? I don't want the rap on me to be right away. Oh, he's fucking everybody.
Well, just to let you know, and because I'm so excited about being a part of StarCast, I asked to take less than Bruce Pritchard and Eric Bischoff. So that's how excited I am about being a part of it. And I really think that it's just going to be a tremendous show. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. And again, it goes back to this. You know, when I got out of wrestling in 2001 and the WWE didn't want me, and maybe there was a chance, I had a number of people contact me who I didn't know and wanted me to, make an appearance for them or go to the show. I didn't want to get caught up with guys who I thought were.
Look at this.
Wow.
A suplex on the ramp.
Yep.
And so Vader teased that he was going to suplex Davey Boy Smith onto the ramp, and everybody was nervous about the bump. And unbelievably, Davey Boy got him up. A huge bump for Vader on the fucking ramp. Man, what a bump. I don't know that I've ever seen that. I think I just turned it off after the Shockmaster, because that's a bump I would have remembered. That was incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. Absolutely.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but holy cow, what a bump.
And then a drop kick as well. I just want to say there were a lot of people, I just didn't trust, quote unquote, small time promoters.
Yeah, I get that.
So,
listen, lots of people I'm sure are taking a wait and see attitude and approach to StarCast too. I guess here's a spoiler though. This is the only one. Like, everybody keeps saying, oh, I'll come next year. There's not another one. This is it. If you want to hear, hey, where'd you get that this holiday season? Uncommon Goods is your secret weapon. Uncommon Goods is here to make your holiday shopping stress-free by scouring the globe for the most remarkable and truly unique gifts for everyone on your list. Whether you're shopping for your secret Santa or your entire family, Uncommon Goods knows exactly what they want. And here's a few of my favorite gifts that I found on their website. No, seriously, Tony Schiavone would love this. It's an actual base. Yeah, like first base, second base, third base, like in high school. Schiavone never got to third base. But he could dream he did now with an actual base from the Atlanta Braves. Yeah, they turn it into a bar stool. How cool is that? It's over at uncommongoods.com. You're absolutely going to love it. I cannot recommend this enough. When you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. Who can't get behind that? You see, these are fine products that are made in small batches. So we encourage you to shop now before they sell out this holiday season. You see, what our friends at Uncommon Goods do is they look for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade, and even made here in the USA. They have the most beautiful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. From art to jewelry to stuff for the kitchen or home and bar, Uncommon Goods has something for everyone. Not just the regular old ordinary stuff you've been giving. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back a whole $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $2.5 million to date. How about that? Let's save some money, shall we? Get 15% off your next gift when you go to uncommongoods.com/WHW. That's uncommongoods.com/WHW for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary. That's uncommongoods.com/WHW.
Here's the focus of what we're going to do now. They're working on the knee of Davey Boy Smith, and that's going to be part of the finish here. Obviously the British Bulldogs were sensational, but I also like this version of Davey Boy Smith. I think he looked good.
Me too.
And he was, I'm glad we had him with us. I think I've said this before. They had Davey Boy Smith and I do some voiceovers on some matches that went to England for WCW.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not good. They just said, Davey Boy, just get in there and do some commentary without even any talking to him about it or even working through. And he did the best he could do. So
I do want to tell, we've got a lot of old school fans who are, I guess, what we would call lapsed fans. Shout out to the Lapsed Fan Podcast, who will also be at StarCast. But, we put him over briefly. Go out of your way to see Harry Smith, British Bulldog's son here, Davey Boy Smith. He's 6'6", jacked up dude, doing his thing internationally. But if you don't have any of those subscription services, just go ahead and throw it in your YouTube, throw it in your Google machine and check him out, because he's going to be making, oh my gosh, a fan with the assist, throwing Vader over the fucking rail. Oh my gosh. Vader was sort of balancing, teeter-tottering back and forth, and the fans tipped him over. Holy shit.
Also about Harry, he's a part of MLW now, so you'll be able to see him on MLW shows.
That's right. Yeah. BN Sports Friday night. And, Ben, I'm checking it out every week. I was a big Low-Key fan, 15 years ago. And it was pretty cool to see that Low-Key is now the MLW world champion. And I hear nothing but great things about MJF. And I think he is your middleweight champion, and that's probably going to make TV sometime soon. You guys have got lots of big stars there, man. I hear that Battle Riot had everybody in it. Just the list of names was incredible. And I talked to Bruce a couple of weeks before that happened. And of course, Bruce is helping behind the scenes, sort of lay out matches and just produce TV. And he said, "Hey man, what do you think of this?" And he just ran through the list of names who are in there. And my immediate response is this the last show? He's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "What a fucking budget Corp must have, man. There are so many stars on this list." It is a who's who of professional wrestling, from, guys that you don't expect to be in the match, like Kevin Sullivan and Conan, but also guys who have a lot of indie buzz right now, like PCO, but then up and comers like Pentagon and Tom Lawler, and even former WWF names like fucking Hornswoggle and Blue Meanie and all those guys. So check it out, man. Friday nights. It's free on BN Sports. If you got DirecTV, you've probably got it. Don't even realize you have it. And my DVR grabs it for me every week. And I'm liking what I'm doing. And I'm proud there's a new promotion out there for fans to get behind.
I did a little interview on my, on my phone with Hornswoggle. Okay. Well, it didn't take long at all. And I screwed up the video, and I'm not able to really, put it out there. But I cut him off. I said, "You know what?" I said, "I would ask you another question, but this has to be a very short interview." And he popped me the bird. And that was the end of the interview.
Yeah. He enjoys messing with me a great deal.
I know.
He heard about my broken foot because I'm in an air cast, and he couldn't help himself. And he texted me and he says, "Is diabetes finally taking your foot?" Which I thought was tremendous.
I know.
It's tremendous.
He told me that. Okay. He told me about the text he sent you about diabetes. And I shook my head. I had no idea what he was talking about. I said, what the hell is this little sawed off motherfucker talking about? And I wasn't talking about Kevin Sullivan. I was talking about Hornswoggle.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I should say I don't have diabetes, but the idea is, hey, you're so fucking fat. You clearly, you didn't break your foot. Diabetes is claiming it. It's taking it, which is just tremendous. And it tickled me, and I couldn't help but share it to social media, which made it even funnier to him, because he wants you to sell for him. If you're not going to sell it, he's not having fun. He wants you to acknowledge, "Oh, you got me."
Well, just let me say this. When you watch Battle Riot, they gave Hornswoggle plenty of great spots. It was wonderful. It really was.
You know, he is one of those guys who's quietly become, you know, a really big deal in wrestling. Like he was on WWE TV for so long, and he had some of the more memorable moments and whatnot, and such a great sense of humor too. When we were in Chicago a few weeks ago, we were scoping out the building for StarCast before we did our show, and he wanted to come hang out cause he was in town for some other promotion. And so he's hanging out drinking with, me and, Bruce and a couple other guys. But one of the guys who's helping me with StarCast, he sort of runs our social media for all the StarCast stuff and even our show account here, Dave Hancock. He's our social media guy. He is deathly afraid of little people. Like an irrational, like I'm going to start shaking and crying fear. And so,
What Hancock is.
yes. And so when we just casually mention, oh man, Swoggle's in town. No, I didn't even say that at first. I said, oh man, Dylan's in town. Nobody acknowledged it. Right. Cause everybody just thinks I know a guy named Dylan or whatever. And so then later he's like, so, hey, or somebody says, hey, who's your buddy who's coming by? And I said, Dylan. And they're like, oh, okay. What does he do? Thinking he's going to be the photographer for StarCast or some shit. And I'm like, it's fucking Swoggle. And immediately he's like, he's coming here. So you should not have done that in front of Bruce and I, cause now we know it's a sore spot. It's sensitive. So we can't help but just pick and tease all day. And then when he finally gets there, we sort of smarten Dylan up and we're like, by the way, he is fucking deathly afraid. And he's like, oh, well, I'm going to go sit on his lap. And I'm like, no, he'll start running when he sees you. So you can't do that. So we distracted him. And Bruce is like, I'll go be the diversion. So Bruce goes out and starts holding court and has all of Hancock's attention. And then around from the back, here comes Dylan, who just jumps in his lap and starts loving on him. Like, will you be my dada? And it was just, and we filmed the whole thing. I'll get it on Patreon this week so you can check it out. But he has the best sense of humor about it ever. And Hancock did not think it was funny at all.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to Conrad's world, where he's one of the most wonderful guys you'll ever meet, but he gonna fuck with you.
Well, the best part is not only did I fuck with him, I was like, Silva, you got to record this because, you know, Silva films all of our live shows and whatever. And by the way, we do have ticket links for you coming this week on social media. It's official. We're coming to Charlotte and, everything's been signed and good to go. And we're coming to Nashville as well. So stay tuned for those ticket links. Our live shows, we're going to have at least 2 this year. And Tony, I'm working on Atlanta. I really want you and I to do a show in Atlanta, and by hook or damn crook, I'm going to find a way to get me and you in Atlanta.
Well, the wonderful time would be, I think, for you and me, and there's no way to really plan this out ahead, but if Alabama and Georgia would meet in the SEC championship game, the first part of December, that would be the best time to do it, but it would be hard to predict that. So,
well, I mean, we know Alabama's there, so no big deal.
Okay.
Hey, you know, there is a thing going down next weekend. What are you doing August 3rd and 4th? Are you booked for some baseball? You got baseball somewhere?
Yeah, I sure am. Why? What we got?
Both Friday and Saturday? Are they home games or are they away games?
I think they are away games.
Oh, I was going to say there's a big tournament going down in Chattanooga, which isn't too terribly far from you. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be there with our boy, Bruce Mitchell, the Scenic City Invitational. And, PCO is going to be there.
Wow. No, I'm home August 3rd and 4th.
Oh, really?
Yes, I am.
Well, I think you should, cruise on over and maybe not stay both days, but you should check one of them out. Your boy Scorpio will be there and we'll tell him that you said he needs to learn how to work. Nick Gage. Have you met Nick Gage before?
I've not.
Yeah.
But you know, I did talk recently to Bruce Pritchard and, Wade Keller. And
you mean Bruce Mitchell and Wade Keller?
Mitchell, yeah, Bruce Mitchell, Pritchard, whatever. I did talk to them, and so you think Mitchell will pay me some money to show up at Chattanooga?
No, it's not him promoting it. He's there to just watch.
Okay. Just said, boy, are you a whore? Thank you, honey. Okay.
Speaking of whores, our next partner is AG1, the daily foundational nutritional supplements that supports whole body health I drink it literally every day. And I gave it a try because my wife knew that if I was going to do it, it needed to actually taste good. I was not a fan of taking pills and vitamins, and I started doing AG1, just one scoop every morning. My wife does it before she makes her coffee. And man, it just makes me feel sharper throughout the rest of the day. And I drank it and I made it a daily habit. And since I've been drinking it, I can tell you that I'm sleeping better. I feel like I've got more clarity. I feel like I'm more effective at work. And covering my nutritional basis for the day literally just couldn't be any easier. That's why we trust AG1. We just mix one small scoop in a cup of water and that's it. Every morning we're done. I also want to point out that it's very affordable. It's like your daily nutritional insurance, if you will. It's going to improve your digestion. You're going to see more sustained energy. You're going to have better mental clarity and focus. It just checks all the boxes. And we should also mention that a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine. And that's why we recommend you try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go right now to drinkag1.com/WHW. That's drinkag1.com/WHW. Check it out. drinkag1.com/WHW.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a transition there. I can't say anything bad about it.
Damn glad I'm a whore.
By the way, I guess
Okay.
we should mention here, I normally realize this right when it happens, but, and this is not fun to talk about, but who would have ever guessed in a match where the 3 big participants are Vader, Davey Boy, and Harley Race, that the last man standing would be Harley Race?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Davey Boy and Vader left us way, way too early. It's just unbelievable to me that, I mean, cause to me, Harley Race has always looked 50 even when he wasn't. And here comes Cactus Jack. He's back.
Wow.
The fans are ready for it. Him and Vader are back into it. And man, did they have some incredible shit that they did in 1993.
Yep. It's going to all, go to spin the wheel, make the deal later in the year at Halloween Havoc between those two. And that is how we end the show with Cactus Jack returning and promoting Fall Brawl. So it was really exciting moment and a pretty cool way to end the show as well. But when you talk about Harley Race, I've always thought Harley Race is just too damn tough to die. He is.
He had some sort of incredible boat accident and a car accident, and he walked away from both, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's just too tough, man. Just absolutely too tough. So there you go. Clash of the Champions. I know we didn't really pay enough credence to Vader and Davey Boy Smith's match, but it was a damn good one.
Yeah. They got 3.5 stars in the Observer. Of course, Vader is going to retain after a lot of, interference, and Meltzer put it over strong. He was a huge Vader fan. Vader did it again, taking big bumps and doing big moves and making it a very good match, although not of the caliber of the prior pay-per-view match. They started brawling on the runway. Smith suplexed Vader on the ramp and gave him a drop kick and a clothesline. Vader got his knees up when Smith tried to splash him from the apron, and Vader kept the advantage until missing a charge and taking the guardrail. Lots of hot moves here. Of course, in the end though, a little bit of help from Harley Race, and Vader retains. But the big story, as you said, is the returning Cactus Jack. We haven't talked a ton about Cactus Jack on this show recently, but of all the characters, and I really enjoy and appreciate Mick Foley and his contributions to the business, but of all the different characters he did, to me, Cactus Jack is hands down my favorite above all else.
I would agree. And God, I loved Mick. Still do. My name is tied to him throughout pro wrestling history, probably in the wrong way. But not probably in the wrong way because of how much I've always really respected and cared for him. But, God, one of the great performers of all time. You're right. Cactus Jack it was better than Mankind. It was better than Dude Love. It was better than Mick Foley.
Well, we want to know what you think is better than. We're going to have a new poll up on Patreon this week. Go vote right now. Patreon.com/WHW Monday. I'm going to try to get that video of us sneak attacking our social media guy, Dave Hancock, up with a little help from Mr. Dillon, who you know as Swoggle. And we're also going to have links for you later this week where we're going to have bonus content for WrestleMania 11. And then before the end of the month, and this is going to be fun. I mean, this is probably the one you're looking forward to the most. Am I right?
Yeah, it's Money in the Bank 2011. Damian Purvis said in his email to us, I think it may be beneficial for Tony to watch this show so he can see what kind of pop he may get in October in Waynesboro, Virginia, as long as Lowe's is with him, LOL. Damian, I don't know what that means, but that has piqued my interest. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we have to watch the whole show, but I do think you need to watch the CM Punk John Cena match, and then we'll watch that one and get your take on it. Have you seen a CM Punk match before that you know of?
I've never seen a CM Punk match. I've seen CM Punk promos, but not a match.
So there you go. We got something to look forward to, and lots more coming your way. So go vote in the poll. Check out that bonus content for the 2 bonus shows, WrestleMania 11, Money in the Bank 2011. And of course, check out our live events. We're coming to see you in Nashville. We'll have a link up for Zanies later this week. And we'll also have one for Charlotte. So 2 of the old stomping grounds for Tony Schiavone and WCW, and we're bringing the show your way. Check it out right now. You can follow us on Twitter at WHW Monday, and you can support us on Patreon for just $9. It's patreon.com/WHW Monday, or as my dad likes to say, Patron. But what you like to say right now, well, it's about that time.
It is about that time, Conrad, and it's time for our tag team main event matchup. The Colossal Kongs to go up against Conrad Thompson and Bruce Pritchard, the Colossal Dongs. Referee for the match, Dave Hancock. And as the match gets started, oh my God, here comes Hornswoggle running in. Dylan is running in, and the referee has shit his pants. My God, we're out of time. I'm sure the Colossal Dongs will win it, but we're out of time. And we'll see you next week. You're listening to What Happened When on the MLW Radio Network and
Patron. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.